Welcome to day 63 of the 300 Movie Challenge. Today we watched the highest grossing film of August 1999, which was The Sixth Sense.
So many emotions.
Well, I will say this: none of us have seen this before,
No, but we
but
all knew the plot
we
twist.
all know the twist because I mean, like, who doesn't? So
Yeah.
it was interesting to go into it with that at that angle to
Yeah.
just kind of see like how the movie kind of hinted at it and was alluding to it and stuff like that, and like the main thing I noticed. Well, of course, there's the obvious thing where like he actually never has a direct conversation with anybody except the
Yeah.
kid.
Except the kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
We
like
didn't really realize until the end that he's been wearing like the same clothes either.
I'm not. I think he was. Like, I didn't notice until at the end. I was like, wait a minute, because again, it's
He's
like part
been
of this
wearing
like
the same shirt.
it's been part of this like suit that like it's not weird to see him wearing that. So
Yeah.
it's not something you would be like, why hasn't he changed his shirt? You know what I mean? You wouldn't really notice, but that's the
Yeah.
cleverness of it, right? So
And
Yeah.
then we never saw his like the back of him either, like without his jacket on to question the gunshot wound
yeah.
either.
Hmm.
And then the dinner scene at the restaurant where like only
Yeah.
her half of the table was set and stuff like that. So there's a few things like that I'm sure we didn't see all of them. There's probably a few more, but so that was interesting at least.
It was very interesting to pick up on all those like small little notes, but then the relationships in this film were so sad though.
Yeah. Because there's like, first of all, there's like what's Malcolm and his wife, and
Yeah.
then there's Cole and his mother, and then there's Malcolm and Cole, of course, which is like the focal point really of the movie.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
they're all handled quite well.
I think
Yeah.
so, yeah.
I mean, well, this is kind of hard to say just because the whole idea is, you have a kid who can see ghosts. So, but even with that, it's like the reactions like seem to make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, about what happens and like, the only thing that's like a little bit iffy is like sometimes I felt like Cole's mom was a bit harsh. But at the same time, I feel like in your position, if your kid's like, I can see ghosts, you'd be like, shut up. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
it does make sense. So it's kind of like,
I think it does kind of make sense, just her reaction, because I think it could also just be the stress of everything else, because like she was at that time being accused of abusing her child too.
right.
That's true too, and the social worker had to interview her and everything.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a pleasant experience.
Yeah.
Especially like if you're a parent who did nothing wrong and it was just like a really bad coincidence, then it just makes you feel much worse.
Right.
Yeah.
So I can kind of understand why she was a bit more like stressed out than she was like in the very beginning, where she was kind of like she had her issues but she was handling them okay.
Yeah.
It's like after the birthday party when the two like little shits they lock him in the closet. I think that's when she started to get a little bit more stressed out.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
okay. That scene, like, didn't make any sense because when she was, like, running up and trying to, like, break him out or whatever, why did she not, like, say or do anything to the kids who were just standing there? I feel like I
I
would have
don't
run up
know.
there, see the dude, like, clearly not able to get out, and those two kids standing there. My first action would be like, what the fuck did you do? Right?
Yeah,
To the kids.
basically.
Like, I'm like, wait a minute, why are you not doing anything with them? Because it's like, what, he
We're
didn't
not
lock
yelling
himself
at
in
them
there.
or telling the parents of what they did to them,
Yeah,
or
because it's
like
like
trying to get a key or
he
something.
couldn't have locked himself in there, right? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't. That was kind of odd, but I mean, it's pretty minor. But
I know there was a scene where she called the mom of the child, of one of the children.
Yes, that was sometime after.
Yeah.
yeah, but well, I do have like two other pretty minor complaints.
Hmm.
One is that um there were a few like jump scares, and I don't mind jump scares as long as like I feel they earned it, and I don't quite feel that they did for some of
I
them,
don't
because
think
like
they
for
were that scary.
no, they weren't. But I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like for example, when he's at like the funeral home or whatever, and the girl like gives him the tape right near the end.
Oh yeah,
It's
like
like
under the
why
bed.
did they turn that into like a scare moment when it's like there's no reason to have done that. You know what I mean?
I'm not. Yeah, like why they made that decision in particular, rather
Right,
than
you
just like.
I feel like if it's not something that's like actually scary, why would you make it like pretend to be scary in that way? You know what I
Right.
mean? And
That's
so
true.
Right.
that's something that just kind of bothers me a little bit. And it's not that bad, but it's just thing that's there.
That's a when we saw that plot point with like the girl, and then when the father was watching the tape, that was so sad too.
Oh yeah.
Well, it
when
kind of
he
makes me
learned
wonder.
that-
Sorry, keep going.
Because your daughter just died, and you think that it's just an illness and everything, and then you learn that it was actually not an illness.
It was your wife being a huge
Yeah.
bitch.
Well, that kind of makes me wonder, like, what happened to that?
Yeah.
You know, like, what's actually the aftermath of that? Because that would be very interesting, I feel.
To see
I
the
feel
end.
like, yeah, I would have wanted to have seen what would have happened with that too. Like if there was like a newspaper or something like that they looked at afterward that like showed that that she got arrested or something.
Or maybe like Cole is friends with the younger sister, and like the younger sister's going to his school now or something. That would be a nice way for that too.
I don't know, just something. But again, I feel like the problem is if they really wanted to show that, and also to not seem like it's half-assed, it'd have to like go in like a huge plot thing with that, and would kind of shift focus.
Yeah, that's
so I
true.
get it, but I don't know, it's kind
Yeah.
of like. Oh, the one other thing. This is like so specific, and I usually feel like I wouldn't have this problem, so I don't know why I'm thinking of it. But I felt like there were some scenes where like the camera was like handheld when it shouldn't have been.
No, I noticed that too. Like the camera shook a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I think, yeah, what I would complain the most about just this movie as a whole is like the very strange cinematography.
Well, in some cases it works because it kind of creates that feeling of like something's not quite right.
Yeah.
And that's the point, right? And so, for example, some shots kind of are like a little bit longer than they should be or something like that. That's fine. I don't
Yeah.
really have a problem with that. It's just sometimes I felt like, again, if they're just like I remember, I think it was the scene where actually the two of them, Cole and his mom, were like sitting there eating or something.
Yeah,
And
that's
he was
the
like
thing that
kind
I
of moving the
noticed, too.
camera around, and I'm like, what are you doing? Just like sit it, keep it still.
Keep it still.
And I feel like for that also, if you kept it still and not moving and just had this kind of still shot that like lasted for like 2 or 3 minutes, like that's already kind of uncomfortable,
Yeah.
right? So you don't need this extra movement that's kind of like, you know. So again, I feel like there's probably some other movie where that happened too, so I don't know why I'm focusing on this movie for it, but it is something I noticed. And again, when something is overall pretty good, like I guess that's the stuff you end up noticing. If anything, it just makes me wonder, like, you know, what happened to like all of Shyamalan's other movies to make them
Yeah.
bad. It's like, what, you know, really, what is the thing? Why is this so good? Because like the argument, for example, for Star Wars is that the original Star Wars, you know, George Lucas was directing it, he was the mastermind, or so to speak, but he had like a lot of feedback from other people, and there was kind of pushback on certain things. And then for Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, he wasn't even the director, right?
Right,
So he wasn't like the, and then, but for the prequels, it was basically just him and everyone like agreeing with what he was going to do.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
So that's at least
what
like,
I've heard.
maybe that's not 100% exactly what happened, but that's a reason, right? And so it's kind of, I don't know if there's really a reason for, if there's a similar thing for these, as to like why this is so much better than his other things. So it is kind of strange how that works.
My only question, I guess, is because I don't know if this was ever like talked I guess if they can move objects, then I'm gonna presume they can do this. But I didn't understand the how the ghost could physically harm him part.
Was that?
'Cause-
I don't think that was addressed.
Yeah,
No.
not really.
But I didn't understand how they could physically harm him, but they couldn't necessarily do other things.
I think if they just left it at like Ghost being able to like move things around, that would be okay because like Malcolm has to go in and out of his house.
Yeah.
Since he doesn't realize he's dead, he can't just like, walk through
Because
the door.
I don't know if I missed it, but I tried like seeing if like Malcolm ever like put his hand on his head or his shoulder or anything, but I never really saw him actually do that.
Oh
So then,
yeah, I don't think Malcolm ever ended up touching like anybody.
I
Yeah.
don't
So
believe
so then
so.
that makes me wonder how the other ghosts would have been able to physically harm him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I guess this is like one theory that it could be. Maybe it's like if Cole is scared enough, he might be trying to like fight them or bat them away, and maybe he's actually doing the hurting to himself. But I can't see how the ghosts would be able to do it themselves. It
Yeah.
doesn't seem like it's
Mhm.
possible.
Well, wait a minute.
Eh?
The very beginning when like all the cupboards get opened.
Mm-hmm.
What was the deal with that?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Because like Cole doesn't have like psychokinesis,
You're
so
right.
it's like how does
Yeah.
wait a minute? What happened with that? Was just some
Was
random
that-
ghost came and opened everything for no reason?
Maybe it
And-
was Grandma looking for food.
Grandma looking.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense, but again, it feels like a really weird thing to just not mention.
Yeah, wait, was that one lady that we saw that one time, was that the mom? The grandmother?
Maybe
Which
the one whose like
uh,
wrists were cut or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe
I don't know.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
maybe I feel like it could have been.
I find
Like-
it strange that we never actually saw the grandmother's ghost. But we saw
Well,
like
unless
only
that was who it was supposed to be.
unless yeah, that was who it was supposed to be.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It is kind of one of those things where, like, again, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, they kind of didn't explain a whole lot. In terms of, like, the emotional impact of the story, it doesn't matter a ton, but it is
Yeah.
kind of like when you start thinking about it, you're like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I
What
will say,
about
just from, like, a idea, and also, because, making movies is, of course, a commercial business, so this whole idea of, like, having this kind of twist in a movie where, like, it really encourages someone to, like, watch it again.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
So that's just kind of like a smart strategy. And again, I think they pull it off well because they, again, I'm sure for people who like didn't know about the twist going in, they'd be like, wait a minute, but he did this and this, and then they watch it again, it's like, oh wait, no, he didn't. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like that
Yeah.
that is a smart idea from their perspective. And again, they handle it well, so that's good at least. But yeah, there are some kind of plot things that you're just like, oh,
That's
wait a minute.
the red with the use of red as a color to like signal the presence of ghosts and stuff was interesting too.
Yeah, we were just like, oh, that's red, and then something usually would happen, and like there was the tent, and like he stole the saint statue that was red too
Mm.
in
Yeah.
the church, and that kind of comes back. I wasn't sure if it was supposed to signify the ghost coming, or if it was supposed to be like a repellent.
I don't know,
I
because
don't
there's the red balloon
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
Malcolm's red doorknob.
The Pennywise balloon.
Yeah,
We were kind of joking about that in the middle when that happened.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Maybe
Yeah.
it does signify like the presence of a ghost then, because
Maybe.
after the red balloon is the cellar ghost, and then
you mean the attic?
right, the attic ghost, and then in Malcolm's home it's the doorknob where
Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
I did even mention like they focused on that in a kind of weird way.
yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I didn't notice that. Okay. Actually, speaking of the attic ghost, like, what was the deal with that? That kind of doesn't come back at all either.
I guess it's like one of those weird plot devices. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's the thing. Like, there are things that kind of weren't explained, and kind of, I guess you could say, are like not plot holes, but just kind of like
I guess
what was
like
the
the horror
point?
aspects were not very developed, perhaps.
No, but I
Yeah.
would also argue that in terms of like the emotional impact of the story, like it's not like
It's not
Sentimental.
important.
not really.
It's not
So
important.
the overall like effect is still you still feel like the impact of it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so I would say again, first if you're wondering, because you might think, oh, I know the twist, like there's no point in watching it. Nah, I disagree with that.
Yeah,
There's
definitely.
there's still a point in watching it.
Yeah,
I mean, like all three of us knew the twist, but we came away from it like pretty much satisfied. Like I came in with pretty high expectations, and I was not disappointed.
Same
yeah.
here.
I wouldn't say it like was better than my expectations, but yeah, we had decently high expectations. So
Mm-hmm.
you know, solid movie. Wouldn't
Yes.
say it's like amazing or anything, but it's good.
If you're gonna watch one M. Night Shyamalan movie, at
Well,
least make
yeah.
it be this one.
No, clearly they need to see The Last Airbender.
Oh,
I don't
the
know
best
even
movie.
what
that
to-
hurts me.
The best movie of all time.
That hurts me.
It fixed all the problems of that terrible TV show.
Oh my god.
um, um, or no, wait, you are you saying you don't want to see the movie where plants kill everybody?
What? No.
Toxin?
Hot
Oh,
dog.
yeah, I was about to say, wait, is that the hot dog one? Yeah, it is the hot dog one. You like hot dogs, right? But no, that's the weird thing. It's like, again, it not only was it directed, it was, well, Sixth Sense was also written by the guy. So
Yeah.
it's like, how did this guy write this, but then also write that?
Hot dogs.
I don't get it. Like, what happened?
The fame got to his head. I don't know.
It's just bizarre.
I guess that maybe is what happened.
Sometimes that happens, I suppose.
I don't know. Whatever. Well,
In any case.
well, this was one movie that, again, we thought would be pretty good and was pretty good, and, well,
Yes.
the next movie is, well, hopefully will be the same.
We
Hopefully.
literally know nothing about it, so
Yeah, all I know is that people seem to like it, but people also seem to like Shakespeare in Love, so what the hell do I know?
and Pulp
That
Fiction.
hurts me too.
I know, I'm sorry.
Alright. Goodbye.
But, yes,
Bye.
bye.